Yeah, baby. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. I always love that.
What's crappin'? Welcome to the Under the Foreskin, a show dedicated to the happenings of the SJU and Misfits Fantasy Football League. Yahoo League ID 161307. Coming at you live from the Under the Foreskin studios. My name is Kyle, owner and operator of the Potomac Pretenders. And with me today, a very, very special guest, Mr. Roger Schlachter.
Oh, boy. Yeah, baby.
Roger, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm the owner, manager, and coach of the Sioux City Smugglers.
Beautiful. And your Sioux City Smugglers are off to quite a start. You're 2-0. We'll get into that a little bit, but first let's talk about the matchups from last week. We had some good games. First off, the Bakersfield Border Collies took on the Gnawbone Butte Pirates and took that game 134-100. Eric Decker, start of the week in my opinion, scored 23 points for the Border Collies. For the Denver Broncos, 2 touchdowns. Incredible game out of Eric Decker. We also had the Tallahassee Trouser Snakes take on the Duluth Draft Dodgers. This game was not too exciting, kind of a ho-hum for both teams. The Trouser Snakes won 102-65. 6 players in double digits for the Trouser Snakes, so pretty solid, consistent effort. And, not too flashy from either team. The Sioux City Smugglers, your team, took up on the Sausage Walls and was the blowout of the week, 134-79. Roger, why don't you tell me a little bit about what happened in that game?
I didn't expect it myself. I was a little nervous. Josh Freeman wasn't looking like I had anticipated him to, but everybody else really picked up the slack, and the team really pulled together. So, you got to be happy with the team performance like that.
Yeah, 134 points. That was tied for the week lead with the Border Collies. Let's see, who else played last week? The Poughkeepsie Pandas took on the Hollywood Hotties. I think the Pandas were 0-1 and the Hotties were 1-0 after week 1. And the Pandas took this game 115-105. Tony Romo with a broken rib and a punctured lung scored 22 points. I think most of them went to Miles Austin. And AP had a big game with 25. For the Hotties, Reggie Bush was a real letdown. In week 1, he scored 14 points, and last week he scored 1 point. Philly Dream Team took on Buffalo, the Buffalo Armadillos, and this was a stomp down too. And I didn't expect this. I thought the Buffalo Armadillos would come out and play. They went down 133-93. The Philly Dream Team was led by Vincent Jackson with 31 points. Seems like Vincent Jackson is back. And Mike Williams for the Buffalo Armadillos scored 0 points. And a very big surprise, Antonio Gates scored 0 points. What do you think is the outlook for Antonio Gates this season, Roger?
I don't know, man. I think it's tough when players don't show up like that. But, I think the Patriots really took him out of that game. I don't know if it's so much Gates not showing up as the Patriots just really wanted to eliminate him.
Yeah, and Belichick is such a fantasy asshole. He's got like 8 running backs, 9 receivers, and of course he takes Gates out for the poor Buffalo Armadillos. And then probably the game of the week, in my opinion, as far as close game, was my team, the Potomac Pretenders. They took on the Crapstone Prairie Dogs, and I snuck it out 101-100, and I'm going to break down kind of what happened. So I had a 21-point lead going into Monday night with the Rams versus the New York Giants. I had the Rams kicker, and the Crapstone Prairie Dogs had Sam Bradford for the Rams and the New York Giants defense. So all throughout the game, the Giants scored a touchdown, Bradford threw one, and it got down real tight at the end. And if Bradford would have thrown for 23 more yards, the Giants would have gotten 1 more sack. Let's see, any of those things would have happened, I would have lost the game. So I was pretty pumped when the drive kind of stalled out. There was a penalty which negated a 23-yard pass. Couldn't have it. So I was pretty pumped to get the 1-point win for my first win of the season. Unfortunately, during that week, I also lost my star running back, Jamal Charles. Miles Austin's out 2 weeks with a hamstring. Lee Evans continues to deteriorate, and I can't play him. So my team is going to be hosting their games from the infirmary from now on. Roger, you haven't seen much injuries this season. Obviously, Arian Foster's been hurt kind of since training camp, which just is crazy that you have been able to put up these huge numbers with Arian Foster. Why don't we talk about your team a little bit? Tell me about your draft. What was kind of your strategy, without divulging too much and letting me know your secrets for next year?
For the most part, I was kind of, sit back, kind of let the draft come to you. I wanted to make a big splash early. Went out and got Foster. Then I was kind of just trying to get some solid guys in place around him and, trying to grab some guys with some high upside and hoping everything paid off.
Yeah, when I look at your team, you really do have a ton of guys with a ton of upside. I mean, Josh Freeman, for an auction draft was a pretty cheap quarterback. You got Kenny Britt, who had nothing but upside, and I don't know how none of us saw what he's doing coming. Ryan Matthews kind of had nowhere to go but up. Javid Best, nowhere to go but up. I mean, I look at your team, and besides Arian Foster, you don't have a ton of well, Mike Wallace is pretty solid, but you don't have a ton of proven guys. You have a lot of upside, and that strategy's working out for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. Hoping to ride it through the entire season. I mean, a lot of these guys, Kenny Britt, injury, Javid Best could be injured, Arian Foster, obviously, so it's kind of a high-risk, high-reward team right now. Acquiring Rob Gronkowski from the Trouser Snakes was a real win in my opinion.
Yeah, and he also just dealt Dustin Keller today for, let's see, he traded for Kevin Cobb and another tight end. I can't remember who. Kind of a middle-of-the-road tight end. I can't remember who it was for.
Heath Miller, I think.
Heath Miller, that's it. Yep, who hasn't done a whole ton this season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, we'll have to see how that trade pays off for him, but, so far, his team looks nothing like it did coming out of the draft, and it's been working out okay for him, so.
Yeah, and I kind of liked his team coming out of the draft. I mean, he definitely did the strategy where spend a lot of money on 3 to 4 players and then kind of ragtag it the rest of the draft. But you're right, it looks nothing like that. Rivers is gone, Gates is gone. I mean, he's got a whole different team, but we'll see how it turns out for him. You never know, Treadle. He won the league last year, so he might have some stuff up his sleeve. Well, let's do the picks for next week. We have the Bakersfield Border Collies taking on my team, the Potomac Pretenders. I like the Border Collies in this one. I got too many injuries, and I got some tough matchups with some of my kind of high upside, but haven't done anything yet, guys. What do you think about that game?
Yeah, I hate to pull against you, but the Border Collies might have Vic out, but still, the Pretenders have suffered a lot of injuries, and it's going to be a tough first week without a lot of their stars.
Yep, exactly. Next up, we got the Trouser Snakes and the Crapstone Prairie Dogs. Who do you like?
Oh boy, this could be a tight matchup. I just heard something about Cedric Benson possibly being suspended for 3 games, so I'm going to go with the Trouser Snakes in this one.
I also took the Trouser Snakes with that new trade for Kevin Cobb. Fortunately for the Trouser Snakes, Kevin Cobb plays the Seahawks this week, so I'm expecting a big week out of him in week 1 for his new team. And I think Benson is going to play this week, but not, and then he's going to be suspended after this week. But I don't know. The Prairie Dogs, they got some good matchups this week, but I don't know. I don't know if there's enough ammo there. Next up, we got your team, the Sioux City Smugglers, over the Duluth Draft Dodgers. I think you got way too much firepower for the Duluth Draft Dodgers. He's got some injuries, and I think you're gonna run over. Might be blowout of the week number 2 in a row for you. What do you think? I'm guessing you're taking the Smugglers.
Yeah, it's hard to root against yourself. I mean, the whole team's just playing at a real high level right now. Barring any injuries, I like where things are at.
Perfect. We got the Poughkeepsie Pandas taking on the Sausage Wallets. What do you think, Raj?
Sauce as well. It's just they look real solid coming out of the draft, but they just haven't really produced. And the Pandas, I mean, they're putting up good numbers every week. I got to go with the Pandas.
I like the Pandas in this one too. I think this is the toughest game of the week to call. Both teams have good matchups, but I actually think Fitzpatrick for the Buffalo Bills is going to have a bigger game against New England than Rodgers will against Chicago. I think New England's pass defense is a little suspect. They can take out one guy like they did with Gates, but Fitzpatrick's got more than one weapon on that team, and I think he's going to have a big day. Let's see. We got the Butte Pirates and the Buffalo Armadillos this week. Who do you like in that one?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, both teams starting off 0-2. Players not showing up. I think the Butte Pirates got a good chance. I think I've heard that they're going to start their rookie quarterback Cam Newton this week.
They are. Yep.
I mean, if the Buffalo Armadillos, Gates and Mike Williams show up like they have in the past, I think this could be a real tight one.
It could be a tight one. So who do you like?
I think I got to go with the Butte Pirates.
Okay, I'm going the other way on this one. I got a lot of faith in Jack, and I'm taking the Armadillos just because I think that that matchup with Rivers and Gates at home versus Kansas City is too juicy. Stafford tore him up last week, and Kansas City looks pretty abysmal. Last up, we have the Hollywood Hotties taking on the Philly Dream Team. The Philly Dream Team is arguably, right up there 1-2 with you or 2-1 with you. It's a tough argument. Both teams look super solid. Who do you like in this game?
I gotta go with the guys who are hot. I gotta go with the Philly Dream Team.
Yeah, it's hard to vote against them. They got a lot of big players on the team. Breeze at Houston, bad pass defense. Beanie Wells at Seattle. Beanie seems to be a pretty solid fantasy back this year. Vincent Jackson at Kansas City could have a big game. It's just a tough week to run into the Philly Dream Team. They got a solid squad. And if your guy, Arian Foster, doesn't play, he's got Ben Tate right in there behind him who will probably take a lot of Foster's carries and touchdowns.
Yeah, very true.
Well, Roger, it's been a hell of an interview. We're going to exit out here. Good luck this week. Good luck the rest of the season. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Thanks for stopping by, bud.
Thanks, you too.
Oh boy!